What's going on, y'all? I'm Bud Elliott. That's Chuck Blunt here, and this is the Nolecast. I should probably put the Nolecast logo on the Nolecast if we're going to do Nolecast. There we go. Looking a little bit better. What's going on, Chuck?
None, man. Enjoyed the off week. Ready to talk a little FSU football.
Man, rocking the Go Noles Emerald Bay FSU golf team hat today. So extremely happy. Shout out to my buddy Andrew in Picola. That's man, that was a cool package to get today, and also had one for the boys. So nice. that was pretty dope. Yeah, man, the bye week treat you well?
Oh yeah, I mean it was a fun Saturday to just sit back and watch everybody else play and not have any worries or concerns about how FSU was going to look.
Absolutely, man. Also, shout out to my cousin Austin for getting married on an FSU bye week, and a Friday night wedding. So, awesome experience, great ceremony and party, and then full day of college football there on Saturday. So we don't really have a game to review this week, but we do have some interesting kind of notes and things to take a look at from an opponent perspective, which I think we should probably do. But first, we should start by thanking our sponsor, the legendary team. Chad did such an awesome job. 844 FSU Loan. It's 844 FSU Loan. If you want a loan, I would call Chad. I think he does a great job. Knowledge of the industry, tremendous benefits. Guy just gets it done for you. If you want to talk a little Noles, certainly he'll do that for you as well. 844 FSU Loan is that number to call. I wanted to talk a little bit about FSU's place among the national landscape. And I got to say, man, that is a cool word to say. That's a cool phrase to spend right there. Place among the national landscape, Chuck.
It's fantastic, man. Seeing fun. FSU back in the top 10, that's what we all want, right?
I strongly like that, Chuck. That's what I like, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna pull that one and go with this one here. So stop screen share and then rescreen share because I want one that fits a little bit better. All right, there we go. Boom.
Nice.
You asked me a question before the show started. I'm gonna ask you it. Are you surprised at how quickly the pollsters and the national media have moved Florida State back up the rankings? Just 3 short weeks into the season.
Yeah. I think it's because there was so much national talk about Bama not being Bama anymore, but at the same time, pollsters are giving FSU a lot of credit for that one win. So I did not expect them to go from unranked to all of a sudden, I think they were 14, and now they're all the way up to 7. I mean, granted, this is a year when the top 20 is more compressed than ever in most of the power rankings. I mean, we've discussed this. A lot of teams are very interchangeable. You're used to having 3 or 4 very elite teams when it comes to power rankings and some of the rankings across different formats. And so it's justified, but it is a little shocking to see them buy in so quickly off of essentially what is one game. I mean, you can't take a whole lot from that East Texas A&M game, but they've gotten a lot of credit for the Bama win, and it's probably because of the way they did it. It's not just they won, it's the way they did it. They looked like an upper echelon team in the way they went about getting that victory.
I totally agree with you there. The fact that Bama has bounced back, you can sit here and say that Ty Simpson had an off day against the Noles, and that's probably accurate if you compare it to how good he's been in the 2 successive games against Louisiana Monroe, and then of course against Wisconsin, which doesn't have a good defense, but it's not a horrid defense. It's still a decent-ish Luke Fickell Big Ten defense. But you can also, I think, give Florida State credit for making that kid uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. And there were open guys against the FSU secondary. Mm-hmm. And he was not off target all the time, but he was late. I mean, I think FSU had, 6 PBUs in that game that were, honestly, if the ball's on time, I don't know, probably 4 of those 6 are likely completed. But they were not on time. The one was definitely just a great play by the DB. Mm-hmm. So, maybe they're getting more credit as Bama starts to play a little bit better. I can still see Alabama rebounding to be a playoff contender and maybe even a playoff participant, certainly.
I mean, I think you could argue that is the best win of the season at this point because Texas just doesn't look like the perennial or the preseason number 1 that they were pegged as. And so they're looking more like a 9-3 or 8-4 team. And Bama might be the second best or maybe even the best SEC team. I kind of proposed that to the timeline on Twitter over the weekend. Is Alabama the best team in the SEC? And it's possible. I think we'll find out in next, or not this coming weekend, but the following weekend when they go to Georgia.
Well, I mean, I moved Georgia slightly down in my ratings and my playoff projection, which I did have the Noles in. I basically run the model every week, and I pick which one looks really interesting and fun and will drive some discussion. It spits out a lot of different results. I try to pick one that's like makes sense logically, but also will would get people talking. I moved Georgia slightly down because I didn't really think that Georgia looked amazing. They just looked like a very good SEC team, but not like the team that you didn't see the other team just being moved out of the way on both sides of the football, like some of those Saban teams did, defensively that 2013 FSU team did, like those Georgia teams in what 21 and 22 that were so dominant there. And honestly, like even part of that 23 defense for Georgia was pretty damn good, as well as we unfortunately found out there in the Orange Bowl. You're right. Maybe Bama's the best team in the SEC, and if so, to your point, the LSU win at Clemson is now diminished as Clemson has lost a successive game. Right? You noted Ohio State's win is a little bit diminished there. I think Miami's win over the Irish is a little bit lessened because the Irish lost at home to Texas A&M. So. Yeah, man. Like I think that probably is the best win in the country so far.
Yeah, especially if Bama goes into Athens. They don't even have to win the game, I don't think. But if they go in there and they play a competitive game and lose 28-24, they're very clearly, I think, the second best SEC team at that point. And it's still a big feather in the cap of FSU moving forward, because there's a good chance then there could be a rematch between those two in Atlanta in December.
Are you ready to be mad?
Sure.
You know what they're going to say, right?
It would be a lot different if the game wasn't played in week one.
But
I'll be honest.
That was week one.
I have Bama still favored on a neutral field if they played tomorrow. I mean, I still think Bama is a top 10 power ranked team, and I think they'll continue to prove that week in and week out. So I don't think it's crazy to suggest that it would be a little different, but I don't think it would be massively different. I don't think Bama's going to blow them out. I think it would be a very competitive game to watch again. It could go either way.
So, all right, one thing on this, I would say, from a pure power rating standpoint, I don't disagree. Given that Alabama has had like 5 chances to defend anything resembling a mobile quarterback in the last 5 years under Kane Womack, and has largely gone like 0 for 5 in doing so, after watching that, if you gave me like more than a field goal, I'm taking FSU and saying, Bama, prove that you can defend offenses that have an option element.
Totally fair.
Prove you can be disciplined.
And, to be fair, it wasn't just a Womack problem. Saban's team struggled with the mobile quarterback for the longest time, whether it was John Manziel or Cam Newton or some of the quarterbacks that Freeze had at Ole Miss. That has been the kryptonite of Alabama for 15, 20 years.
Yeah, exactly right. I think a lot of that was Nick kind of made his defenses to kind of stop like the highest and best type idea, which is typically going to be like big physical team that also happens to have an NFL quarterback. But some of the almost like the little X-wings flying around the Death Star, can find ways to pop there. So Florida State is what, 7 in the AP poll. They are 9th in the coaches poll. I don't see very many teams behind them who have a legitimate argument. If you wanted to say you think on a neutral, like maybe Oklahoma's better, but I could argue that both ways. I mean, these teams are so close together. Like I don't really fully agree with FPI right now. I will note FPI for picking conference games has been like the stone cold nuts in recent years. Like for whatever those guys do model wise, man, when it comes to like picking conference games, when it's conference season, you need to like pay serious attention to FPI because they've got the goods there. Their conference ATS last year was, and like their absolute air was really freaking good. But they've got Florida State 27th.
Yeah, that's outrage. I don't have them in the top 10 yet, but I have them right on the fringe. And as you said, like everything's so compressed that you could say 15 through probably 7, it's a coin flip on a neutral field, pitting any of them against each other. Like whatever order you want to put them in, I wouldn't really argue with.
They also, Chuck, have Miami 11th. And so Florida State at 27th is the second-rated team in the ACC.
Yeah.
So they basically think the ACC is garbage. And I totally agree as far as the bottom half of the league. This is largely why you want to get out of the league, because you don't get good games on a week-in, week-out basis, and you still end up losing some because your players realize these teams aren't very good, and they don't take it seriously in practice during the week, and they don't, they come out unprepared despite the coaches, asking them to please try hard and pay attention each week. 27 is low.
Yeah.
If you gave me Pick'em against Arkansas and some of these other teams on here, like if you gave me Pick'em against BYU, if you gave me Pick'em against Vandy, yeah, I'm unloading on that, man. Mm-hmm. They make them basically a Pick'em against Arizona State, Washington. Yeah, but they do have them rated ahead of Clemson. So anyway, from a power rating standpoint, if you want to say they're not top 10, that's fair because you should be baking in preseason priors. It makes models more accurate. People can complain about it, but if the objective is accuracy, you need to follow the methodology that is the most accurate while acknowledging that some outliers are not going to be captured by the wide net that you're drawing to try to make the rankings the most accurate overall.
Do we know how much preseason and even last season play into something like FPI? Because I know Fremo, who runs FEI, has said that if you've only played one FBS team to this point, it's still 82% preseason projections. So FEI has FSU at 45, but that's only because they played only one opponent that's FBS, and next week it will bake out some more of the preseason. So I am curious how much. We don't get to see under the hood of a lot of these things. So I'm just curious what's being baked into that is causing the suppression so low in the rankings. We also do know that for whatever reason, FPI made a massive adjustment in late July, early August, and a lot of SEC teams went up and a lot of ACC teams went down. I'd just be curious. We weren't getting things out of camp. So I'd be curious what went into some of those drops to some teams. Miami was one of them, in fact.
My guess is it's my guess, and this is a guess, and I actually do know some of the guys who ran FPI. We'll have some friendly banter with them. We can give them crap, but also they're absolute air of the model compared to all the other public models is actually really damn good.
Yeah,
and I mean they produce some wonky results, but they're okay with it because they know they're going to be more accurate than almost all of the projection models out there. Not all, but almost all. Mm-hmm. My guess here is it has something to do with when they inputted either recruit or transfer ratings.
It's fair.
Recruiting rankings are incredibly predictive overall. Mm-hmm. The one piece that would really, really help you with this, but I don't think you can get it now. You could get it, but it would be incomplete, is if you knew a team's budget. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be really quite predictive.
Mm-hmm.
Even more so than in baseball, because baseball you have some dead money on guys who are hurt, and you're carrying $30 million for a guy who's totally washed. And in football, you just don't really have that, not for multiple years. I mean, you have a DJU situation, but not that wasn't a multi-year deal. Well, I guess in pro, but not in college. But I don't know what went in to that.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that. I mean, they have of their top 17 teams. 15 are from the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yes.
So Notre Dame is 14. Miami is 11. The first Big 12 team is Utah at 18. Weird that they have LSU 19th. I don't think there's 19 better teams than LSU, personally. Just watching those guys.
That offense has me so concerned, though.
But still, I don't think Clemson's defense is awful. It's not great. It's just not amazing.
Yeah. So talking about the ACC, how many bowl teams do we think are actually on this schedule?
Oh, yeah, this is the problem. This is why when Chuck puts out this chart of who to root for, Not that we have any control over what happens. So if you want to root for the Gators and Canes to lose, look, I do too, to be honest. Of course, yes. But it does impact your playoff chances quite a bit. So FPI has FSU's playoff chances at 17%. That's the second best playoff chance in the ACC. Let's take a look at this schedule. Bama's a bowl team. Okay. That's one. I think UVA is a bowl team.
I would agree.
That's two. Miami's a bowl team. That's three. Is Pitt a bowl team?
I think it's a coin flip. I currently project them to 5-7, but you could convince me they could go 6-6.
Sure.
But I don't think they're a 7-5 or 8-4 team by any means.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think who they probably
and that's the only fringe bowl team I have, just to be transparent here.
So okay, right. So let's count them as a half, right? So we are at 3.5.
3.5.
Stanford's not. Wake's not.
Nope.
Clemson, I still think is.
Yes.
So that's 4.5. Vatech is definitely not. NC State, I think, is.
Yes, I would agree.
Okay, so that's 5.5.
And I would not have Florida at this point. They're gonna have to show me something in the next 3 weeks to believe they can make a bowl.
This is really sloppily done on my part, but you could almost just give a half for Pitt and a half for Florida.
There you go.
And say there's likely to be 6 bowl teams. How many ranked teams do you think will be on this schedule when the playoff committee pulls up this resume?
2, Miami and Alabama.
Yeah, I agree. Now there's some chance Clemson turns it around and is ranked at 9-3. Because they do play both LSU and South Carolina. Although I don't think South Carolina is going bowling at this point. So I would say there are 2 or 3 ranked teams on this schedule. And that Bama win might be doing a lot of work for you.
It seems like I don't like their chances at an at-large bid at 10-2. Let's put it that way. Definitely. Not if you're being compared to some of those SEC teams that are just going to have 7 or 8 ranked teams, because we know that's how the rankings are going to shake out. They're going to have Ole Miss or Oklahoma or one of these teams is going to have at 9-3 is going to have 7 ranked teams on their schedule, and they're probably going to have 4 wins against that, and that's what's going to probably leverage their way to an at-large bid, especially after all the belly aching from the SEC during spring or during the media session, right? They're going to focus on strength of schedule, and unfortunately, this FSU schedule just doesn't have a lot of teeth to it.
Well, I mean, Chuck, think about this. The other problem you run into here is, I don't know, if you go 10-2, I don't think you're making the ACC championship game.
If we assume that those losses are Miami and Clemson, you're absolutely correct. If the losses in Florida, that could even be a bigger black eye and black mark to this schedule if Florida is what we think they are, which is 5-7, 6-6 by years in.
But if you get in at 10 right, so okay, let's walk through this, and this is probably early in the season to do this, but there are some points for people to be aware of. I agree that the resume at 10-2 is not good enough to get in. Or at least I don't think it will be. If you get in at 10-2 and you lose again, I assume to Miami, right? Because that's the overwhelming favorite for the conference right now. Last year, people said that, hey, if you play in the conference championship game, the results are not held against you.
Mm-hmm.
And I largely agree that they should not be. I think it should be kind of like a one-way go, right? If you can earn your way in, but you shouldn't be able to earn your way out in a conference title game, because it's a bonus game that some of the at-larges against which you're competing to make the playoff do not have to play. However, I don't know that holds. Last year, think about the teams who lost in the conference championship game, specifically SMU.
Mm-hmm.
That was a tight game.
Yeah,
that was a 54-yard field goal in the rain at the buzzer.
It also wasn't a second loss to the same team. I would be curious if we operate under that assumption. I'd be curious to see how the committee would treat a team losing to the same team twice.
Yeah,
which you would think is a larger demerit than losing a game to a team you didn't face all regular season,
unless Miami is undefeated and has the 1 or 2 seed basically locked up.
Right.
And in which case, you're like, all right, assuming that they weren't blowout losses, right? But like 10-2 that doesn't make the ACC championship game is not getting into the playoff. There's no chance that they're going to send 3 teams from this league, nor should they, to be honest.
Right.
Here's the problem. Find me the conference losses on Georgia Tech's schedule.
Let me see.
I'm going to read it off to you here. They already have Clemson in pocket. They are at Wake, host Vatech, at Duke, host Cuse, at NC State, at Boston College, host Pitt.
The hardest game I have left for them is at NC State, and I still give them a 63% chance to win it. I have them projected at 10-2, 7-1 in ACC play. So the odds are they drop a game just because they're not going to be overwhelming favorites in the remaining games. But 7-1 probably gets them there, especially if we're talking FSU's losing to Miami and Clemson in this hypothetical. That gets them there.
Yeah. So you probably need to go 11-1 to get in the playoff. Or if you go 10-2 and you win the conference championship, then you're clearly in. It's gonna get that's gonna get interesting. Now do Cal.
All right, just a second. I now have Cal at 9-3. It's a coin flip, 9-3, 8-4 with like a 5-3 ACC record. It's not. I don't trust them yet, so I don't have them way up my rankings. But they do have a lot of teams on the schedule that they have more than a puncher's chance. I don't like them against Louisville, let's put it that way. And closing with SMU will be interesting. Granted, that game's going to be in Berkeley, so that gives them a slight advantage, but it's not the same advantage that some of the traditional ACC teams who have to cross 3 time zones to get there have to take on. At least SMU's coming from the Central.
Exactly. I mean, there's a pretty good chance that you are going to have to beat out one loss ACC Cal or one loss ACC Georgia Tech because they don't play each other.
Right.
And they both have quarterbacks playing at a very high level, which the simple answer is go beat Clemson.
18-team conferences and create some very uneven schedules, man.
It does. Also, like Louisville's still undefeated, man.
Yeah.
And SMU has not lost a league game yet. So like that, you're gonna have quite a few teams who are gonna be 6-2 or better in the league. Now, Louisville very well may take care of itself because they do play Miami, they play Cal, they play Clemson, and they play SMU.
Yeah.
Like their relief games are like at Pitt, at Vatech. That is a difficult schedule. We'll see if Miami keeps us up. Like so far, they've looked dominant. And Carson Beck's like been he doesn't need to turn his jersey into the hamper.
I am curious to watch that secondary because it's still not even average, really. I mean, it's in the 70s in passing success rate allowed and yards per dropback. So I am curious to watch that, like especially when they play somebody like Louisville who's got an actual passing offense to them. So I will be curious to see, does it continue to grow or does it start to show some of the warts we've seen in the past?
That's kind of my thought as well. But I don't know exactly who is going to test it.
That's the problem. Louisville's probably the best chance at actually throwing against them. There isn't a whole lot of top tier talent that they play in terms of quarterbacks the rest of the way.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, you could certainly say Tommy, right? But I think if I told you, hey, they're going to chuck it around 30 times in the game, you're like, all right, well, that's a loss.
Yeah, we need to be able to run the ball.
Yeah, right. Which you might be able to do. I don't know. It's a little bit annoying that the guy that Miami got from Rutgers appears to be fully healthy. Like, I mean, obviously happy for the guy he's healthy, but like, it's like really okay. Like he's back to what he was when he was a freak for Rutgers 2 years ago. That's great. All right, so let's take a look at some of these odds from some of the other betting sites because I think that 17% is a little bit low from FPI. So I can get this here. And 17%, by the way, if I was to benchmark this against the rest of the country here, let's just go ahead and pull this up. And I know this is very nerdy and very mathy, but that's kind of what the show is tonight. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So FPI has FSU with the 27th best chance of getting in.
Okay.
DraftKings and Caesars, who actually will take real money on this, You cannot bet on FPI as far as I know. They both have FSU as 16th.
I think that's where I would fall.
Yeah. I think I would as well, most likely. Conference winner right now, Florida State is still 4th to win the ACC at DraftKings, behind, of course, Miami, which is, Miami's going to be odds on pretty soon if they beat Florida. Georgia Tech, Clemson still, and then FSU, which is interesting. Cal's obviously, Cal might get there, but they're not expected to do anything if they do get there. Looking at other conferences. All right, so FSU is 3rd at Caesars. I don't hate Florida State plus 700 to win this league, by the way.
No, that seems like worth it to throw a little on there.
I would not take 475 at Caesars, but if you had DraftKings in Florida, I would make a little pizza money on that.
Yeah, because sure. that's gonna be about 350 if they beat Miami.
Oh God, I mean,
it might be less than that.
No, I mean they wouldn't have. I mean, if you beat Miami, you got the tiebreaker over Miami. Clemson's probably picking up another conference loss, so you'd probably be like 250.
250, all right.
Do you have them favored over Miami in Tallahassee?
No, I currently have it as a 2-point line.
Yeah,
so I do have them favored in Death Valley now, though.
That makes a lot of sense, just based on how Clemson's offense has looked. So taking a look at this, well, first of all, I do want to talk about kind of like the ever-changing landscape of college football, just as there's the ever-changing business landscape, of course, and our friends at Congruity can help you navigate that ever-changing business landscape, whether you need HR, payroll solutions, insurance solutions. Congruity is the place to go. We have all their contact info right there in the show notes. Make sure you guys hit up Congruity. Over 10 Nolecast affiliated businesses have, as well as Graham, has put a lot of business through those guys over the year as well. They've always treated us with the best of service. So Congruity HR Solutions is certainly the number and the business to which you want to go. All right. So taking a look at this, this sport is so tight at the top now, man. Mm-hmm. Like nobody, these teams are not as talented as they used to be. I don't think. I think it's spread out because the rev share era, like Bama can't hide a first-round draft pick for 3 years on their roster anymore.
Yeah, they're not as deep. I still think the top line teams have an advantage in terms of starters and even that second team. Like if you're talking the top 30 contributors, offense and defense on your team, I would still say the top 5 or 6 in terms of recruiting are a little bit ahead of everybody else. But week in and week out, the games are a lot more competitive than they used to be. The bigger thing, though, is these teams get more mulligans now because the playoff. I mean, look at last year. You can lose 2 games, including one to your arch rival, still get in and run the table and win national championship if you have the staff and the overall talent. So I do think that is still there, but I don't think week to week it's as wide a gap as it used to be.
So, all right, FPI, the difference between the number 1 team and the number 10 team is a touchdown. Let's go back 10 years.
It was more like 15.
It was like yeah,
at 12,
like 10. Yeah, I mean, in 2019 it was like 13. So I think it's safe to say like the top teams are at least a field goal worse than they used to be relative to everybody else. And yeah, like I think it's just harder to keep a ton of quality depth. They probably also have fewer players who just absolutely suck starting for them. Like because the ability to go out and cure in the portal, mistakes. If you have enough money, you can generally go out and get somebody who's just not awful. Usually,
I have 10 points separating 1 from 17, for example. Like that's crazy that it's that compressed in the top 20.
All right, 1 from 17 in 2019 was 19 points.
I was going to say 18, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this sport is so much more even. I was talking to the guy this morning. He's like, when's the last time that we had a national championship race going into week 4 where we were the best natty odds were more than 5-1? Like these are plus 600 natty odds almost a quarter of the way through the season.
That's
Like
crazy.
nobody has emerged so far as an unbeatable team.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little 2007-ish, with the exception that we have not had like the crazy USF rises up to number 2 type thing.
Of course, that season started very bland. It was kind of tame for the first 3 or 4 weeks, and then it just went crazy. I mean, granted, week 1 we did have App State over Michigan, but outside of that, the first 3 or 4 weeks seemed to go like most seasons, and then all hell broke loose.
That's a good point. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. Like if you go to week 4 in 2007, week 4, they don't let you scroll by week anymore on ESPN.
Hold on, I got a workbook from 2007. Okay. No lie.
I'm not surprised by this. So as Chuck looks that up, who do you not want to see in Gainesville?
In Gainesville?
Yeah, like assuming that they pull the trigger, who would you be like, damn it, really? They got that guy?
I don't want to see Lane, but that's more personal preference. I like Lane, and I think he learned a lot from Saban, so I'd be a little concerned with him having those type of resources and access to Florida talent. Florida with a good offense is always a problem. Mullen won game. He didn't recruit great, but he won games because his offense. Urban won games because that defense was nasty. Don't get me wrong. Charlie Strong was a tremendous D coordinator, but they won games because they could flat out outscore you when they had to. And that was how it was under Spurrier. Anybody who is an offensive mind with access to that talent should be able to win 8 or 9 games as a floor. And I really don't want to see somebody like Lane, who understands the landscape and how things are played in that area. I don't want to see him in Gainesville. He's my number one. I don't want to see go there because what they could be is enough to give me concern.
I don't want to see Summerall.
Oh yeah.
I just feel like he's won without ever having like a superstar quarterback, and like finds ways to win.
He's going to go to Auburn, isn't he? I feel like that's where he's going to go.
I think he'll probably get like the top open SEC job.
Yeah.
I think Jed Fish does a hell of a job, to be honest. I know he was, like he's a UF alum, and there's always been those rumors.
Mm-hmm.
I also increasingly don't want to see Drinkwitz.
Yeah, Eli understands he doesn't have to have the best talent, and he can still out scheme you. That's a problem too.
Yeah, but he actually embraces the recruiting piece.
Yeah,
like they're getting players, and granted they're buying them, but like as we've seen here, you also still have to actually recruit them. Otherwise, you're paying. You don't always have to be the top, like highest and best on every single guy.
Mm-hmm.
That would be kind of the list. I don't think they're going to hire Summerall because I don't like thematically. Are they going to go back to Louisiana for a G5 guy?
No. I think they're going to have to go. Or I think their mindset's going to be we have to at worst get a power 2 coordinator, and I think they would prefer a head coach with P2 experience.
Right,
a head coach.
I would agree with that. I could see I could see Matt Campbell getting Michigan if things went sideways this year.
Do we think they would actually fire Sharon after 2 years?
Probably not, but the track record's not amazing, I guess.
No, he's 1-4 in road games. And funny enough, he was a 19-point dog in the one win.
Dude, did you see the Dabo Swinney quotes?
Yes. It sounded an awful lot like 2001 through 2005 in Tallahassee. I actually did you see the data I put up on Twitter that compares them?
No, I was super busy this week, but
it was
certainly
scary how close. Like same home record, same ACC record, same record versus ranked teams type of thing. Like they are carbon copy, and it's all the same problems. They're struggling to identify and develop quarterbacks. The defense is playing as hard as they can, but it can only do so much. The stubborn head coach has made hires that just aren't panning out for whatever reason. There's NFL talent up and down the roster, but it doesn't play well as a team. And he basically challenged him. I didn't realize last year he said that if he left Clemson, half the team would go with him.
Yeah.
He's just challenging them to do something. Like, he's really dug in, and it's going to be interesting to watch. He may turn it around, but I don't think he's ever going to be a top 5 recruiter that has 5-star after 5-star at quarterback that hits. Like, their days of doing that seem over.
Well, I don't really like the quarterbacks that they've signed.
No.
I mean, I don't think those guys are.
But they also haven't progressed, kind of like Rick's never progressed 01 through 04. Klubnik has not progressed in the 3 years he's been starter. He looks like the same guy that started in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're still really talented.
Mm-hmm.
They have lost 2 games by what, a single score?
Yeah.
That's not a layup in Death Valley.
No.
It's just not. Like they could turn it around, but I think that part of the frustrations of the Clemson fan base are that they got to feel like on the national stage, not in the conference, on the national stage, this might be it for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at who you're going to lose off this roster. Now, Hampton has another year, right? The corner. You realize that's Alonzo Hampton's son, by the way.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, really nice guy, by the way. Like, extremely nice guy. So
I just sent you the Clemson FSU side by side if you want to throw it up on the screen by any chance.
Oh, I certainly will. Yeah,
it is pretty wild.
Can I tweet this?
Sure.
And just like give you credit. I know you. I know you keep your private like Twitter, so
yeah, that's fine.
Sure you don't want everybody like. Do you want me to tag you?
No, you don't have to do that. You can just after we get done with the Nolecast, you can throw it up there. I don't care.
That is, bro. Yeah, let's put this up here for our viewers at home. We are going to be expanding our Nolecast content, by the way. Got some cool stuff in the works. Like we've been pretty protective of the brand over the years, and I'm excited to. I really like the addition you've been to the show, and I think we can continue to do, some more stuff in short form as well. So this is interesting here. 44-20 for Florida State from 01 to 05, and 41-16. We need to take and Photoshop and pair one of the quotes about how like Florida State will never win without Bobby Bowden.
If they're not careful, I'll leave it the same way I found it.
Right. Which towards the end,
he did. No, look at that. 16-11 road wreck, 12-8, 24-6 at home, 24-5 at home, 8-10 versus ranked teams, 7-8 versus ranked teams. Like, yeah, half their losses are to unranked teams. I think that's what stands out more than anything. FSU lost 20 games in that span, and 10 were to unranked. Clemson's lost 16, 8 to unranked. Like, it's scary how similar the two look.
Which is interesting because last year I really kind of feel like Clemson only lost to teams that had similar athletes to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Which
they weren't getting upset last year in games that they should win clearly, but it's been a problem the last few years, and it's starting to show its head again this year.
Yeah, something just feels off there. I don't want to say it's a toughness issue, but I don't know, man. Like I watched them against Georgia Tech, and I just didn't see guys winning at the line of scrimmage. I know they got a bunch of guys who have really, really real high ratings. I just don't see. I don't see them all playing like it. And everything. And this is going to sound very, very FSU to you. Very FSU. Everything feels hard on offense.
Yes. It's not just see ball, get ball, and just run. Everything is advanced calculus.
Everything's like all these throws are contested. Like where's the free access throws? Like they can't run the ball somehow. Like they went to the portal and they hit on it. The one DN they took is really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. That's kind of amazing. Like they're beatable. Let's pull back up the other piece that we were taking a look at.
All right.
I'll bring it back up here. Okay. Share screen. Let me make sure. Let's do our weekend watch guide. We will have a short Kent State preview. My number one thing to watch for in a Kent State game, but I don't want to like usurp our preview. How much does Mike let Gus run this up? Because the last time that Gus played Kent State, we kind of went over it when we talked about these Texas A&M game. They scored like 60-something points with 4 or 5 turnovers. Remember this?
Yeah.
Like
with a short week, I don't care how much I want them to win comfortably, but I want people out so quick just with that shorter turnaround. I don't. Yeah. I hope that isn't their focus. Let's try to pad the stats. It'd be different if they had a full week of prep coming and it wasn't the conference opener. But yeah, we can talk about that more on the preview. But yeah, I'm hoping it's get them in, get them out, and stay healthy.
Exactly. I'm 100% there. What did you watch what Texas Tech did this weekend when they played Oregon State? That's kind of what I want.
Yeah.
Like
they're a machine. They're the only team in the country who scored over 100 first half points, and they haven't allowed a single point yet in the first half.
Connolly put up his ratings if only this season counted, which are going to be really wonky. And in fact, like it's a really good example of why we should not use this because. But the number one team is so far in just performance ratings for the year.
Them.
Texas Tech.
Yep.
By a lot. Texas Tech just totally put the brakes on afterwards. I mean, it was like total, like just they were done with it in the second half against Oregon State because they have to go play an 11 a.m. game local time at Utah this week. So
good segue. And I actually don't think it matters who wins this game because the Big 12 is only going to get one bid.
Yes.
But I'd say this is just an entertainment game for us to watch because there's a good chance these two teams meet in Arlington in a rematch in December because I think they are the two best teams in the Big 12.
Yeah, I would agree. The only team that I would consider in the Big 12 that is maybe on par, and Iowa State fans are going to be mad, and this is not a lot of Florida State talk tonight, but like I'm so excited to be able to talk about Florida State's place on the playoff race. This is cool. Like, this is not something I really thought would happen this year. I don't think they did either. It may be TCU.
That offense is explosive.
Yeah, I know some agents who try to get in on guys early. They got like multiple draft picks on the offensive line, and that's not normal. Like that's not normally a Big 12 thing,
right?
All right, so let's go through this. Obviously, for the weekend, which. By the way, I will be in Tallahassee for the Miami game. Excited about that. I will not be going to the Kent State game this weekend, but dude, Kent State tickets are expensive. Have you seen this?
It's family weekend.
It is. Yeah. And after last year, I guarantee people want to come up and see a good football team because you probably had a pretty crappy family weekend last year. Yeah. Now, obviously, the experience at Madison Social Township and the fabulous group of restaurants in the For the Table Restaurant Group, which, of course, Matt Thompson operates and has been great to us. That experience does not really wane, but it's a little bit better when it's nuts, man. It is absolutely fun. So let's go here. Syracuse at Clemson.
For us, it would be better if we need Clemson. As we talked about this resume, we need Clemson to win football games going into November. So I think that one's pretty straightforward for why we have Clemson as what's best for the CFP odds.
9-3 Clemson with games against LSU and games against South Carolina is likely to be ranked at the end of the year, especially because the SEC has not had some of the more talented young quarterbacks emerge. Like maybe Simpson is turning a corner, but Arch and Lagway are not.
Right.
So I think the chance that you have I don't think you're going to have a whole lot of SEC teams at 10-2 or better. Right. All right. Texas Tech at Utah. I think we agree on Utah here. If Utah beats Texas Tech, their chance of running the table is pretty good. And we need, for our playoff chances, we need the Big 12 to be a one-bid league. Notre Dame losing last weekend was great. I think because the committee won't say this, but I'm a firm believer that they basically lump Notre Dame in with the HCC as far as the number of bids they're actually willing to give. Because of how incestuous, obviously Notre Dame plays 5 ACC games per season.
Well, not only that, but now they will have to run the table because the only way to get in is to be top 10. And I don't think a 9-3 ND is going to wind up in that final time. Right. So they're out if they lose another game. Man. Right. But they have a much better chance at 10-2. Like if they win 10 in a row, I think the committee's going to put them right there at 10 to get them in. But at 9-3, they're done. Like
100%.
I don't think they have a chance in hell of getting in the top 10 at 9-3.
All right, SMU TCU. I'm glad you put this on here. We just mentioned TCU is probably, in my opinion, the third contender for the Big 12. I haven't looked at the conference odds here on this, but for the Big 12, yeah, they're third in the odds as well. If an ACC team has a win over the Big 12 champion or the Big 12 runner-up, that is a good argument to only put one Big 12 team in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would agree there.
Yeah, plus this would be a second consecutive SMU loss to the Big 12, which isn't going to go well for the ACC in the grand scheme of things if they lose to Baylor and TCU.
Because Baylor threw for 500 yards on those guys.
Yes.
So let me see. Bowling Green and Louisville. Obviously, if you lose to Bowling Green, what are we doing? Auburn, Oklahoma. This is interesting. I might disagree with you here.
See, I think you want to get as many fringe teams that are playoff contender. Oklahoma already has a good win in their cap. And if Auburn then gets another win, all of a sudden they're both contending for a third or fourth SEC bid. You get Auburn to lose early, they may spiral and go 7-5. Hugh Freeze gets fired, whatever. But it prevents Auburn from being in that discussion for an at-large. That was my only thinking there.
If you believe FPI, I think they have the SEC getting 5.6 bids.
Jesus.
Which is not going to happen.
No.
Right? Let's be clear on this. And not with Texas losing to Ohio State and Bama losing to FSU. But I think they're very alive for 4, potentially still. Although the Big Ten is looking much better now. I'm going to zag here. I think I disagree with you. I think Oklahoma winning could be better. I actually had Oklahoma as the as the SEC champion after watching last weekend. I think their defense is slightly worse than a Texas, but roughly on par with Georgia. And they might have the best quarterback in the SEC. And we know they have several young blue chip linemen who are already getting snaps for them and not playing great so far, but those guys could grow. If you want to see the SEC get 3, the path is basically 3 SEC teams rise to the top, right? And everybody else is 9-3 or worse and just not really in the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I think Auburn winning could create this glut of 10-2. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why I went with Oklahoma. I want Auburn out of there. I don't want to have a bunch
I'm sorry. I totally misread this. Yes,
no problem.
I agree. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
why
We both got Oklahoma winning that, and best for us.
And you want Oklahoma to win it. Yeah. Clearly, you want Tulane to beat Ole Miss.
Yep.
Just that would be hilarious. And Tulane got blown out last year, I think, at the end of that thing. But that game was sneakily close for a while. Michigan at Nebraska. Man, I don't know.
Michigan doesn't have anybody really left on the schedule outside Ohio State. If we don't want the Big Ten having a 4th at-large or a 4th team to get in as an at-large, I think you need Nebraska. Nebraska's just not likely to run the table or even finish 10-2, I don't think. So I think getting Michigan, this was the same logic we used when Michigan went to Oklahoma a couple weeks ago. Get Michigan losses early so that they're just not in that at-large discussion come November.
Do you think there's a chance if Nebraska wins this, though, that there's a real, could they go 10-2?
They could, but I still have them right now 9-3, 8-4, and I have this game as a coin flip. There's enough losable games on that schedule. I think it's a 23-21 type of game where it's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
So I don't really trust Nebraska to all of a sudden take a bunch of confidence from it and run off and go 10-2 or 11-1. So, yeah, I don't know.
Nebraska is sneakily not very good along the lines of scrimmage, by the way. I don't know. For anybody who watched that Cincinnati game, Cincinnati pushed them around on both sides.
They had 70% rushing success against that Nebraska defense.
Jesus.
70%.
And that's where they completely rebuilt offensive line for Cincy in the first game.
Yeah. And Corleone screwed up the middle of their offensive line. They couldn't run the ball. That's why I think Michigan probably wins the game. But I think it would be better long term if Nebraska wins it, just because get Michigan 4 or 5 losses on this year so they're not in that at-large discussion.
You definitely don't want I mean, I don't know that UCF North Carolina matters all that much to this because I think both these teams are not likely to be. There's some chance UNC could be a bowl team. I doubt it.
I'm just taking it's the ACC Big 12 thing head to head again.
Right.
So we just keep getting slashes for the good guys on the ACC. I hate to be the conference pride guy, but if we want to be in that at-large discussion, you can't lose games to the Big 12.
This is, man, if you already didn't hate this ACC expansion enough, because the entire reason they did it was to prevent some schools from getting quorum, right? And like he expanded the number of no votes, but by adding SMU, Cal, and Stanford. This creates these nonsense schedules to where like Cal plays basically nobody and Georgia Tech plays. You can't say they play nobody because they did play and beat Clemson. So preseason, it looked a lot harder. But yeah, I agree. You need NC State to beat Duke.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we play them. We don't play Duke. You need NC State to be like. There's some chance they could go 8-4, right? Maybe NC State could go 9-3. I don't think so, but. And Bailey's playing better than he did in that opening game. That opening game, he threw a bunch of like picks of should be picks that weren't picked.
They got to stop giving up 9 tackles for a loss per game, though.
Yeah,
that's what they're allowing right now.
Tech should beat Temple.
Yeah.
I could see that being closer
than it should be. Especially a hangover effect after the Clemson game. Absolutely,
potentially, yeah. Temple's got a couple like decent players on that team. Now Oklahoma was just too much defensively for them. And Mateer's doing his crazy jump pass stuff for no reason, but it was cool to watch. All right, South Carolina at Missouri.
This was a hard one to determine what was better, but I think
it's South Carolina.
It's winning the game. You think so?
For 2 reasons. One, if we want Clemson ranked, we want their win over South Carolina to mean something.
Okay.
2. Man, have you seen Missouri's schedule? Missouri could be one of these 10-2 SEC teams.
They could, because Bama's like the only team worth a shit on it.
We want to get them out the paint. Now, they do have to go. Wait, no, they host A&M.
Yes.
I'm trying to think, because last year A&M killed them. That was the game that the quarterback was hurt for Missouri, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was in College State. I'm just trying to remember where. Yeah, last year was at A&M.
Yeah, that was like a 31-3 or 34-3 game or something. It was a beatdown.
Yeah, A&M ran for like 400 yards. It was wild. All right, so I think that should be South Carolina.
I'm going to switch it. We'll switch these for the tweet out. So I got you.
Miami for sure this weekend, obviously. Also for like stealing recruits, that might help. There's some guys in Florida's commit list who you might be interested in. For sure. All right. Illinois and Indiana. Is this a schedule thing? Like what? Why do we want Indiana or why do we want Illinois here?
It's really, I don't know that there's a preference. You need one of them out of the way so that Indiana's got the easier schedule going forward. So if you don't want 4 Big Ten teams getting into the playoffs, it probably makes more sense to get Indiana losses earlier and often because they still have Oregon and a couple others. So if they go 9-3, they're not going to get in, especially after the showing they had that last year and all the belly aching that they didn't deserve to be there in the first place. So I think getting Indiana a loss in September is a big deal. They're probably going to add 2 or 3 more throughout the schedule. Illinois is going to be in the mix one way or the other because they're a good football team. So I don't think it's a bad thing if they just go ahead and flex their muscle and win this game. I'm shocked Indiana's favored, to be honest.
I think that makes sense. Indiana's pretty good, but
they are.
Illinois has been running the ball between the tackles extremely well.
Yeah.
They just need to get their tackle situation
I'm
right.
curious to see Mendoza against a real defense. I mean, FSU fans are familiar with the kid from last year. I don't understand. I understand Indiana's the home team. I still don't think they should be 4.5. And I think he even pushed to 5.5 today, which is just crazy.
I don't think that home field's that wild.
No.
So, all right. Stanford, Virginia, clearly like you play UVA. You don't want UVA coming off a loss. You want them to be a 3-1 team when you go beat them. You need them to be a bowl team for you. If they lose to Stanford, I think they're if they lose to Stanford, we need to reassess if they're going to make a bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And in Michigan State, USC.
It doesn't matter, I guess, is the question.
I think it does for this reason. do you trust the committee not to give too much credit to the Irish if they win 10 consecutive games? And one of those games is a highly rated USC.
That's fair.
I trust that Michigan State's defense is bad enough to where, like,
even if they pull the upset, they're going to lose 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, because the ideal scenario here is that 3 Big Ten teams rise above everybody else, and the Big Ten is a 3-bid league.
Oregon, Ohio State, and Penn State.
Correct. Like an undefeated and 2 one-loss teams, and everybody else out the paint.
Yeah.
I think Michigan State there.
All right. I made the change to what we have, South Carolina and Michigan State. So we will tweet that out for everybody.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's optimal, man.
All right.
If you get all that, I think FSU's playoff chances have to rise, maybe to 20% in FPI. Have you dug into why this is why this is the way it is? I mean, they seem dead set on the ACC being a 1-bid league, and I just don't think I don't think I agree with that.
Well, I mean, FPI in particular is just heavily weighted towards the P2, and they just, I think we've seen it already that the P2 teams can have one more loss versus the other 2 power leagues, and they're considered comparable, right? So the odds are you're going to have a lot of 10-2 and 9-3 between the 2 P2s, and there isn't a lot of good between the ACC and Big 12.
So summon this in my head. I think they have the ACC at 1.2 bids, not including the Irish.
Okay.
I wonder where they have. I don't know. I mean, not that this matters. And they have Notre Dame as a 6% to make the playoff, which, if you gave me 6% odds on the Irish, I think I would actually I'd probably put something on that.
Yeah. I think it's a little higher than that. I still have them at 8-4, I think, at this point, though. I don't think Boise's going to be easy, even though Boise didn't look great in South Florida. They also still have USC. They have I think they have Louisville again this year. It's not a gauntlet, but it's not a cakewalk either the rest of the way.
I would agree with that.
I think they have to win. If they can get through the next 5 games and get to 5-2, then there's a very real chance they go 10-2. But can they win 5 straight is the question.
Here's one for you. What is the third? Okay, so we agree that Miami at home is more difficult than at Clemson at this point?
Yes.
Not by a ton.
No, I have FSU as a 2-point dog at home to Miami and a 2.5-point favorite on the road to Clemson.
If you gave FSU fans a split right now on those, they would take it to the bank.
Mm-hmm.
I think. If you trust this team to handle business in their other games.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you have as the third most difficult game left?
Florida.
Yeah, I would agree.
I have it like a 5.5 points.
Yeah.
And then after that would be NC State at about 8 on the road.
And
I don't
UVA or host Pitt.
UVA would be the next at 12 and then Pitt at 16.
Man, Pitt got banged up in that game against UVA.
Yeah.
Also, they shouldn't have been close. In the game against West Virginia. Honestly, if you watch that, the only way they got back in the game is that the Mountaineers quarterback got knocked out for 4 series, and that's when Pitt came back.
No, you got it backwards, wasn't it? Pitt was up and their quarterback. Didn't Holstein get knocked out?
No. Mountaineers jumped out to a pretty big lead, and then Marchio got knocked out.
Okay, I didn't actually get eyes on that, so I didn't. I thought it was the other. I thought Pitt blew a lead. It was West Virginia who let them back in the game.
Yes, and then West Virginia came back and then won in overtime. Yeah.
Okay.
So they had the lead and they didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. The more I think about it, too, Missouri looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Missouri might be for real, not national title for real, but. Perbula's playing pretty well at quarterback for them. They're pretty damn good along the lines of scrimmage.
You think Penn State regrets letting Perbula go?
I don't think they would take him over Aller, but I don't think you can hold on to 2 good quarterbacks in this era.
Right.
Man, we did an hour. I did not. I thought we were going to be a 30-minute. This is fun.
I enjoyed it, man.
No doubt, dude. All right. Guys, make sure you follow us, of course, on YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe. Let's get Well, let's get us to 10,000 before the Miami game. And maybe we'll start bringing on some more additional content here, maybe some short form stuff. Start to get the social piece working a little more. And I'm excited, man. This is fun. It's fun to cover a good team again.
Absolutely.
I'm re-energized because I think a lot of the fan base is. So, you got anything else, buddy?
No, I do not.
All right, man. Graham will be back, I think, for the next episode. So we will see you guys then.